y'all, for those of y'all that heard this before, you're just going to have to suffer through it again. Because it's one of my favorite subjects, and it is the most important thing. And I'm still benefiting from it, and expect to benefit from it, what little time God has left for me. I refer to the fact that I guess when I was in my early 50s, which was about 40 years ago, my life was a complete turmoil. I was already in business with my two brothers. We were having business problems, had credit problems, weren't able to pay our health and whatnot, and health was bad. I was smoking about 2 packs a day, and marriage, we weren't about to get a divorce, but she was having an awful lot of headaches at bedtime. Anyway, one of my good Assumption parishioner friends invited me to go on a weekend retreat with him at Holy Name Retreat House. And the way my life was going, I said, well, it sure as hell can't hurt. And so I signed up with him, and we went out there, and these retreats were put on by the Passionist Fathers, still are. And the subject of the priest's homily, the first Saturday we was there, was the Holy Spirit. And he said, I want to try to encourage each one of you men here, there's about 50 of us there, to develop a relationship with the Holy Spirit. He took out a Holy Spirit medal like this, and he said, before you leave, each one of y'all will be given one of these, and I want you to seriously try to understand that the Holy Spirit can be a tremendous help to you if you give him the opportunity. And so I'm going to challenge you guys, when y'all get back to the office Monday morning or wherever you work, the first problem you encounter, ask the Holy Spirit to help. Well, my problem was very simple. I needed $250,000 in the next 60 days to save it. So I got back to my office. I said, well, where are you going to get $250,000? A bank. So, of course, I got out of school when I was 15 years old, so education wasn't really strong in the American family, to say the least. But in any event, I took a tape recorder. I knew I had to write a letter to the bank if I'm going to try to borrow $250,000, so I anticipated a rough problem on it, but I took this tape recorder and asked something. I just took the Holy Spirit, read aloud, held it in my hand. I said, Holy Spirit, help me write this letter. I pushed the button. The words just flowed out on out. Boy, I was really surprised that it was that easy to write this letter. I gave it to my secretary. She typed it. I didn't have to change but 2 or 3 words. So maybe something to this Holy Spirit. So that was one of my first experiences. I sent the letter off to the bank, and about 10 days later, the bankers called and said, come on in, Merrick, we'll see if we can figure out some way to let you have some money. Well, boy, I was thrilled to hear that, because like I say, we were desperate. Went up to the bankers, we were sitting around a table like this, 3 of them. I took out my Holy Spirit medal as I was walking in. I said, Holy Spirit, help me sell these guys on letting me have this money. So I sat down with them, rubbed my Holy Spirit medal, and the words just came tumbling out of my mouth, and I was really impressed with myself. Anyway, the bankers looked at each other and said, Merrick, we'll go ahead and let you have the money. Well, of course, I just paid that loan off a couple of years ago. But in any event, it saved the day, and then when you're 90 years old, man, the old train of thought sometimes fades, but I had a succession of things with the Holy Spirit that made a big difference, and probably the most successful thing that happened is with the fact that I guess it was about 30 years ago, I was already really enamored with the Holy Spirit by that time. I was convinced that He was the best thing that happened in my life. I could go on and give you a series of things that He helped me in. For example, He was the decision maker in Circle Lake. I was already 75 at that time. Didn't know what to do with Circle Lake. I was making stations across. I asked the Holy Spirit to give me some suggestions about Circle Lake. Popped thought in my head and offer it to the bishop and see if he can't convert it to a retreat center. And he did. And I went to the bishop, and he came out there, walked the property with me, and they said he'd do that. And then he went back and they had a $2 million fundraising drive, and that's where he raised the money for where we are here, conference center, and everything you see out here at Circle Lake. And so that was another example of this Holy Spirit at work. But probably the most dramatic thing in my life was that, I guess 25, 30 years ago, I called my two brothers in. I said, by then I was totally sold on those guys. I said, brothers, I want to add a fourth partner in our business. I said, who? I said, the Holy Spirit. I said, well, how the hell are you going to do that? Well, I said, it's not all that difficult. I'll go ahead and we'll get a lawyer and we'll set up a family foundation. We call it the American Family Foundation. We each put $1,000 in. And remember, this, I guess, was at least 30 years ago. And we did. And up till that time, we were doing pretty good. But when we got the Holy Spirit involved, I said, one thing about it, we're going to put the Holy Spirit's share of the profits into this family foundation. No argument about that. I said, okay. So at that time, our business started just, not overnight, but just gradually started getting better. We picked up a new city every year. We went to Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, Atlanta, Harlingen, Oklahoma City. This is over a period of about 7 or 18 years. But anyway, the percentage of profits that went into this foundation really started to grow. I mean, it was really meaningful. And our deal was that these funds would be kept invested and they would be doled out to St. Vincent de Paul Societies, Catholic Charities, an organization that worked with the poor. We started off dirt poor. We didn't have a damn shirt on our backs when we got to Houston. So the American family has always been tremendously interested in doing anything that would help the poor because we were so poor ourselves. And anyway, that worked out fine, and now, and it will continue to be. That foundation is still there, it's still very active, and it's set up to be perpetuated, which means it'll never end. And so if it's the Holy Spirit's will, and I'm sure it will be, we'll continue to be in a position to give away hundreds of thousands of dollars each year. This year it's almost $1 million to St. Vincent de Paul. Listen to We three marriages were involved in St. Vincent de Paul from the time we were able to walk. Our mother was very interested in helping the poor, and even though we didn't have anything ourselves, our affinity helping the poor as a result of her urging continued to grow. So anyway, this is where we are today. We think that it has no reason. I have no reason to believe that 50 or 100 years from now that it won't still be in existence, probably a little larger because it grows each year. And that all in all, my personal relationship with the Holy Spirit has just been hard to describe or to appreciate like I do. So much so that I've hired a professional author to help me write a book, which has been written and is being printed now. Doing Business with the Holy Spirit is the title. Now, my plan is, at my funeral, which can't be 90, can't be too far off. I plan to give a copy of that book and a Holy Spirit medal to everybody that attends my funeral. So, y'all come and you'll give them. But if I don't accomplish anything else as a result of this wonderful invitation to speak to you, I really hope that I can convince you that it is in your best interest to develop a personal one-on-one relationship with the Holy Spirit. And y'all all get the medal today, I think. Y'all have one, I think, right? Carry that on your person and make it a point to have a relationship that's not distant, but that's close. Go ahead and share with him your problems, your goals, and I'd be terribly surprised if you weren't pleased with the results. First of all, I don't think you can outgive the good Lord, and he's proven that to me. And secondly, I just think that he knows what's in your best interest. The Holy Spirit knows that. Now, you can ask him for a lot of things. You're going to ask for a Cadillac in the garage. Well, obviously, that's not going to be high on his priority list. But if it's something that he knows is in your best interest, I think you'll get it. And so with that, I'll turn it back over to y'all unless y'all have any questions. But I'm a living example of what a relationship with the Holy Spirit can do. As I look back on these 90 years, it dwarfs anything else that I've accomplished. My relationship with the Holy Spirit, what he's helped me accomplish. He's been in my right hand, and everything that I do still is and will be until God calls me home. With that, I'll turn it over to you all.